Hi there, it's Dr. JOYLYN Maniaci and welcome to your Power Hour. This is your time to put what's on your mind on my mind, and we are going to have some real talk. This is a no fluff, no bullshit zone, just talking real. Because there's no time left for lying, for pretending, for escaping and excusing. The time is up. It is time for us to be full on potent, creative, ourselves, fully expressed, powerful as fuck. Okay? Because that's what happiness is having all of you. And so that's what this Power Hour is all about, is how to get that clarity so that you are potent. So that when you show up, heads turn, the universe takes notice, and things change. And when you're potent, they're changing in a direction that you're actually aware of how you want it to go. And so we'll get into what that even means. So, hi, if you haven't met me, I'm Dr. JOYLYN, and I call myself a word nerd. So when we're talking about concepts, I always think that one of the best places to start is by defining what we're talking about. And when it comes to potency, just a quick search says that it is a state or quality of being potent. Oh, thanks. I love when you use the word you're defining. That's so great. Power or authority, effectiveness or strength. A person or thing exerting power and influence. Okay, so these are definitive of potency, and here is my definition. And this is what I want you to write down and take note. But here's what I think potency is an unwillingness to shrink in response or reaction to anyone or anything. That's it. Now, that, an unwillingness to shrink, that is likely going to go against everything you've ever known in your life so far. It's not what you've been taught. It's not how you were raised. And so to be potent is not going to be particularly easy per se, but it's also doesn't have to be hard. And it is definitely no harder than continually shrinking and moving around and rearranging yourself for other people. So what I want you to do is, what I've advised clients is to replace the word hard. When you're like, this is hard, I want you to replace it with it's not habitual. You just haven't conditioned yourself. You haven't calibrated your body to these feelings and this chemistry. So it will feel a little off or weird at first, but it's not hard. It's just different. And again, it's no harder than continuing to shrink back and pretend that you're not who you are, which is, unfortunately, for a lot of you out there, you badasses who are empaths, grew up learning to shrink in response to other people so that you could hide or get away, like to escape detection so that the criticism or abuse didn't land on you, or giving someone else space at the sacrifice of your own, making excuses, keeping secrets, even sometimes making yourself small so that somebody else wouldn't feel bad. Because that's what we knew had to happen in order to survive at a very young age. But if we keep doing this, we keep not existing in our lives, and that's where a lot of bitterness and resentment starts to grow. So when it's starting to be, you'll find it comes in a spectrum, of course, everything does. So it'll start kind of, you'll get annoyed with people or irritated with people and you'll want to fix them or change them. Or here's one thing that we do a lot. We work really hard to get someone else to understand us. And this uses so much freaking energy, and it actually starts to deteriorate and destroy relationships, especially the relationship we have with ourselves. Bye-bye self-esteem, bye-bye self-respect, bye-bye self-love, because I will do anything except keep a boundary and create and hold a space for myself because it feels weird. We got to get over that stuff, okay? And then what happens is as we start, shrinking and contracting, we get to a level of pain that just becomes so great we can't stand it anymore. And so a lot of times that level of intensity gets kind of turned and morphed into anger. So what happens is a lot of times we get angry, and we confuse anger and potency because they do have some similar resonances. But what we'll do is anger will come up as far as it can be a presence of a lie. And when we're refusing to be a potency, there's a lot of times we tell ourselves, I couldn't do that. I definitely should not do that. When really in truth, our heart's saying, I want that. I want to be that. I want to say that. I want to do that. Okay, so sometimes your potency is letting you know there's a lie of you putting the lid on you. And sometimes we use it because we're actually refusing it so much and keeping our program intact and staying good little boys and girls, Christian, nice, because I really did not want to be mean. I hate feeling excluded. So the thought of ever excluding someone else just, oh, please, I don't want to be the one who excludes somebody. So I would exclude myself so that everybody else could be included. Isn't that fantastic? Okay, yeah, because I can live with that, right? But you get to a point where I would get so angry to where finally, like once that anger gets there, we get activated and we get over whatever fear or doubt we were having. So we use this anger to get us over this. And what happens though is that for one, they're not the same thing, but we make the anger a habit and we remember that, oh, when I got so angry, I finally did that thing. And of course, when we finally do the thing we wanted to do or showed up the way that we wanted to show up, it felt better afterwards, right? But then we thought it was the anger that got us there and it wasn't. So we start to repeat this pattern, and that's part of what makes the potency hard is there's sometimes collateral damage, but that's when we've been using so much anger and then just become kind of explosive. So let's pull back for just a second because I think I'm talking real fast because I get real excited about this stuff. And thank you for the hearts. You guys can throw those out anytime. I just love that. But what potency is not is, number one, it is not identical to anger. It is similar to and will have a similar resonance because there is this activation and movement going with it, but it is not anger. Potency is also not proving. There is no external reference point or directed outcome when it comes to potency. We do not say, ha, I showed you. And the you can be someone else. My mother, she always said I could never do this. It could be my sister said I would never meet this. It could be myself saying, I always told myself I couldn't do that. Ha, take that self. Because that's just an antagonistic way of living and creating something outside, even when it's us, that puts us against something. So it's not about proving. Potency is not about proving. It is not pushing either. So when I'm saying it's not pushing, that the agenda is pure, and I'll get back to that in just a second. But potency is also not manipulating to get your way. This isn't about controlling an outcome. Remember, potency is just an unwillingness to shrink. But you're not, I'm not going to shrink so that I can show you. You're not, I'm not going to shrink so that this happens. It's just that knowing that that thing could not possibly happen if we keep shrinking. But that's where the agenda is different, and it's not about manipulating and forcing and getting all the pieces to line up just the way that you want. It's also not dominating someone else. And it is not about putting someone else down. That is what power has been confused as in this reality, and what dominating patriarchal, like that end of the spectrum, that's what it's come to. But that is not what true power and potency is. So what is it then? An unwillingness to shrink is a willingness to rise. Potency has an energy rising. If you almost think of like a phoenix, it's rising, it's emerging, it's forthcoming. Therefore, it's going to be direct. There's not going to be this boxing, match like squaring up, dipping toes in the water, making people guess, trying to guess what people are doing. It's direct. And the only agenda, the pureness of it, is in I'm going to be here because I'm here. I'm not going to shrink anymore. I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm not going to take on baggage that's not mine. I'm not going to try to understand and figure out things that aren't mine to understand, which is other people's processes. And that's what we a lot of times try to figure out. And the potency is also, I'm just going to be here and my future is the most precious thing to me. What's coming right after this, that is precious to me. And I am not going to give that up for anybody or anything anymore. I'm going to show up no matter what. That's the energy of true potency. And as that energy, that is a pattern interrupt. Now, I talk so much about creating a pattern interrupt when we're talking about habits and the subconscious mind and doing things like blinking, making fast movements, changing the way you breathe, breathing in, audible exhale, doing those things to create a pattern interrupt so you don't just go into your loops and spins. But when you be that potent energy, you are a pattern interrupt. And what you will then be interrupting is your own bullshit stories. You're going to be blowing up old narratives about who you are and what you could accomplish and why. You're going to be blowing up any of these things that says, well, I couldn't do that because my past is limiting my future. That goes. But as a pattern interrupt, you're also going to be showing other people their shit is not going to stick. You're going to be saying, look it, when I'm this level of potency, you see, I got abused back there, but that has nothing to do with me anymore. That's not who I am. I'm just unwilling to shrink. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to hide. I'm also going to change my resonance, my own internal energy to where I'm not attracting abuse anymore. I'm just saying that doesn't belong in my life. And other people are going to kind of quake and shake in this because it's going to rattle their cages too. But you're not doing it for that purpose. You're not doing it to show them and you're not doing it to help them. You're just doing it because you're saying shrinking feels awful. I don't like how it feels when I have to shrink and contort and contract and hide. I don't like that. It's just about taking up space and I'm going to use this as a verb, glorying. You are glorying in your own freaking existence. And you get to play with your free will. I want to have this just because it sounds neat. I want to do this just because I'm curious. Not because of my past and I told myself I couldn't do it, not to prove anybody else wrong. And I don't have to keep doing what I'm doing because I've been doing that so long. I don't have any loyalties to anything but who I am and my future. That's what my vow is too, is greater, high soul, high future. You are the love of my life. And when we do that, we be a pattern interrupt, we be a gift to the world, we be a gift to ourselves. And the way that you be, the life that you get to live, the awareness that you have, and the ability that you have to create because your energy is so clear is just freaking huge. Can you imagine living in this space? Can you just feel how your body relaxes when you're just like, I get this space because I said so. And I do want to take just a second. I want to tell you a story about what happened to me and why this potency is coming up, okay? Because this weekend it's when you ask the universe and you say, this is what's happening in my life, this is who I want to be and I'm going for it, the universe will say, okay, you got it. And in that, it will give you opportunities to show up as that, and it will also be clearing out the shit that isn't congruent. Yucko feelings that come up are coming up to go, and some people are going to raise their hand and say, I will not support you, and then I escort them out of JOYLYN land. And that happened clear as day this weekend. Back to back, Thursday, Friday, really toxic men who have either said that they love me or really presented themselves as friends. And when I called a boundary and said something that you didn't work for me, that it wasn't just, oh, can you say more? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize that. They would say those things, but then in the next sentence say, but you made me feel bad. You made me feel bad when you called a boundary. You made me feel like I was a bad person, and I did not. I stated what you said just then made me uncomfortable. I can't let you walk away because this situation isn't resolved and our contract has to be signed by the time you're on a plane tomorrow morning, so we have to figure this out, so I can't let you run away and escape. They are pushing on to me and saying, they basically become bullies and say, you're the reason. Like, I don't like how I feel inside, you're the reason. Which is what our conditioning, what everybody else in our life has said, that's how the world works, and that's what happens. That's what happens when we go into beta brainwave patterns and stress and fight or flight response. We look at our external environment. So it's not unusual. It's even normal for them to in some ways think that it's me. But to come at me with that level of aggression and to try to then convince me of my wrongness, I no longer tolerate or entertain. And so yes, my marriage has already dissolved, and now things have actually changed to where I'm actually, someone else has to be there because I'm just not going to be alone in that presence anymore. It's just a level of intensity of meanness that I just no longer, just not. Finally, JOYLYN is getting to this point, okay? Because I am so loving, and I really want to believe that people are good people, to where I keep opening and making myself available for criticism and insults, being called names, being physically harmed, and it's just no more. And then this other person that was supposedly a friend who said, you made me feel bad, that is straight out of nonviolent communication, what not to do. Because nobody can make you feel anything. That those feelings are inside first, and that they get rattled when somebody calls a boundary. Because I didn't question his motives. He was, at that point, a friend. I wasn't saying he was trying to hurt me. But I just let him know, hey, a remark you made, that made the space unsafe for me. And that's an opportunity to practice respectful communication, not to come back and say, you need time for yourself. You overanalyze things. You take things too seriously, because you know what I do take really fucking seriously now? Me, my future, my boundaries, and the sanctity of my space. So he raised his hand and said, you gotta go. There you go. Thank you for raising your hand. You are out of here. I am going to be with people who are able to create, support, generate, and help me sustain my level of peace and presence. And that's what I want to be for other people. So I just want to let you know, and having it the numbers 2 against 1, that yes, I called my sister to actually say, am I in the wrong here? Am I doing something? Because I am willing to self-reflect. But then when I get information and she gets the full run-on of what happened, that it's no. This is JOYLYN, this is your practice space. This is the universe saying, are you going to be potent or are you going to shrink? And I said, you know what? I'm not shrinking anymore. I get to have me. I'm going to have all of me. So I just want you to know that might be how it presents and how it looks, okay? I just wanted to share that with you, full-on transparency, okay? And where I have gone wrong in the past is when I tried so very hard to get that person to see my point of view, to get them to convince that my point of view is right. I'm just like, I got my point of view. Here's what it is. I know where it's informed and what it's informing. I know what level of consciousness I'm looking for. And this isn't a match. I don't like how I feel when you're in your presence. So instead of me shrinking so that can be okay, I'm just saying, you gotta go. And that is hard for me. I hate excluding people. And it's scary to be like, yeah, because you know how my husband used to say, you're just going to end up alone. Don't tell me that. But hey, some people got to go because there's just no space at the table for that. This dinner party is way too awesome. perfectly toasted marshmallows and toast, sprinkles in your coffee, and rainbows and unicorns, that's only for badasses, okay? So if you're gonna come at me and blame me for your hurt feelings and shit all over the place, you've got to go, okay? That's the level of potency I would like you to have, all right? And just again, take a breath and feel what your body feels like to be like, my castle, my kingdom. You're gone. This is a sanctuary. This is my domain. Do you feel how relaxing that is in your body? That's what potency is about and for. And then what's created from there is freaking magnificence, to where every single meditation where I tap into my future, it's huge. So huge. Okay, so I'm going to get back to my outline now. It's not about getting anyone else to change or agree with you. And if that is your agenda, that's where you're probably going to leave the interaction with a lack of self-respect because you've gotten reactive and kind of like over-emotional and really desperate. And lack of self-esteem because you didn't hold your boundaries. And also just a great more pain because you won't feel listened to. Because when you lead with an agenda, that agenda's in front and everybody speaks energy. So that if you're trying to change someone's mind, they feel it and they're going to immediately resist you and they're just not going to listen. And so many of the people that I work with, that's what's so painful is I don't feel listened to. I don't feel heard. So one of the things we have to do is get this clarity on what is our energy, what are we leading with, what are we actually communicating for and about, because a lot of times it's this static that's getting in the way. So how do you get clarity? How do you tell the difference between the anger versus the potency if they're really similar? Because it gets to be kind of gray area and messy. And let me put it out there, you're not going to get it perfect right away, okay? So just do not require perfection of yourself, all right? But one of the things that you can do is look at where is the information coming from. Is it coming from your head? Meaning you can tell this because it's going to be swirling, it's going to be fast, it's going to be loud, and it's probably very much going to be incomplete and repetitive. To where you're going to have like snippets that keep coming up. Yeah, yeah, and it keeps like darting. That's usually from here. It's your subconscious just pulling anything it can to wrap a narrative around this to kind of make things make sense. That's not where you want to be moving from, okay? If it's coming from your heart and your body, it's going to be firm, it's going to be steady, and it's probably just going to say itself once. Dang it, I wish it would repeat itself because I'm a little bit hard-headed, but that's why we have to drop our awareness into our body to actually get in touch with that information. If we're feeling contracted, if we're feeling frazzled, it's likely not it's not intuition. Intuition has a calming effect. So getting clear on where the information is coming from is key. 2, what's the direction it's moving in? Is it rising? Is it emergent? Is it direct and forthcoming? Or is it flailing and swirling and swinging? Just take a second and kind of be like, what's the character of this energy? That'll give you information. Then what or who is the target? Is it all about me being me having my future, me creating space and saying, I get to be here and I love me and so I'm going to have this sanctuary for me? Or is it about getting someone else to change or getting someone else to agree with me because then I can have my sanctuary and my peace? So looking at what is our target, what is our actual goal? Is it energetic or is it an outcome? And how do you get clarity to this level? Hopefully this isn't the first time you've heard me, but if it is, welcome. But this doesn't just come at the snap of a finger, so how do you get it? Well, let me tell you. You work with me in a 90-day relationship remodel because this is what we do. Because one of the first things you got to do if you want to get in touch with your future, you get your future forward focus. You get those energetic priorities. set so that you know where you're even moving to. Because if you don't know what direction you're going into, your subconscious is just going to swirl you back and get you to stay right here because that's where it knows it's safe, even though you are now aware it is uncomfortable AF and you are tired of shrinking and contorting to make everybody else feel better. Hey, Sandra, it's good to see you. Clarity on if my boundaries have been broken. Yeah, and here's one of the things about boundaries. Again, they're not borders. You don't have to patrol it. And you will know because your body's going to tell you. My friend didn't actually make a move. He didn't actually physically do anything to harm me, but he made a comment that blurred the lines as far as, are you trying to move in that direction? Because I am definitely not going there and I have no interest in going there. And so I just felt uncomfortable. And how did I know that? I just wanted to get out of the car. I actually just didn't want to talk to him. I actually wanted to hide and find somewhere else to go when he wanted to talk to me the next day. That's how I know. We start getting clear on who we are, what feels good to us, and when we're behaving outside of that. A lot of times I'll know because I can't stop eating. I will just keep snacking because there is something that's trying to get my attention. I'm like, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to know you right now. So those are some of the ways you can find clarity on if boundary issues are coming up. Hopefully that helps, Thomas. But if you're in a 90-day relationship model, we are setting that future forward focus so you know where you're going, so you know what your future is going to be. And then you're more likely to be potent, to deal with the discomfort of being something you've never been, because this future is so freaking interesting and enlivening. But then in order to have that, you're going to have to break up with some old ideas and patterns, who you were, limiting stories about you. We're going to start to see those come up. We're going to get rid of those. We're going to demo. Like this is a remodel. We're doing some demo work. These outdated narratives, these damaging habits, we're going to learn how to deconstruct them, how to break them down, how to use pattern interrupts, how to use tapping, how to use the tools to actually do that. And then we're going to learn and practice new skills, because a remodel is incomplete if you just tear shit apart. That's not done. That doesn't look pretty. That's only half done. So we have to make it look pretty and more functional, so you need new tools. So how to handle emotional intensity. Learning new communication, because we did not get modeled effective or healthy communication. So how to disagree with respect. How to request without demanding. How to clarify your agenda so you're leading with pure energy. How to apologize so that you are recognizing and acknowledging someone else's humanity and their point of view, but not necessarily taking it, not giving up on your own, and definitely not apologizing for existing. And not saying, hey, I was wrong means I'm wrong to be here. Learning these absolute communication skills, learning how to use your empathic abilities. So just like Thomas is saying, how do I recognize when a boundary has been crossed? To get more skill with being embodied, because this is an amazing tool to use. These are the things you learn in the 90-day relationship or model. And I just want to say that right now and going forward, I am potent as fuck, okay? So that you want to work with me, because I'm contagious and I will rub off on you. And you will start seeing a different you emerge to where you're like, who is this person? I have wanted to say this thing or try this thing for years, and I finally did it. I will tell you, I actually did that even before I became who I am and what I do, with a sister. And yes, it's a long story, but I just, in a conversation we had, and I was just like, don't you know what your superpowers are? And I reflected it to her, that she finally signed up for an obstacle course race that she had wanted to do for 10 years, but she'd been waiting for somebody else to do it with her. And she finally signed up and has since then competed in World's Tough Mudder obstacle course race 24-hour stuff. just needed that nudge. Let me tell you, I have grown. My tool set has expanded since then. So I am inviting you right now to talk to me about working one-on-one, because we're at November 10th right now. That if you started, that before Christmas, before your 90-day relationship remodel is even over, you are so different. Yes, Sandra, I need this so badly. Sick of hiding and feeling worthless. Yes! Thank you. No more hiding. And for the love of God, you are so worth it. And you can lean on my confidence, because there's not a thing you could say or do that would ever convince me that there's a shred of truth in your worthlessness. So you can lean on my confidence until you've got yours. Till we've demoed enough stuff, built up enough skills, and that will happen in a package of 90 days. No, it's not the end-all be-all for the end of time, but it is the next you arrives. And you have the skills and tool set, the understanding of how the process works, so that you can do it again and again in any area of your life. This is what I want you to have, is this magnificent presence that when you are being you, when you are being a pattern interrupt, you are more than likely interrupting patterns that are no longer serving anyone. So you are a gift to the world when you be you. And to just, you are here. You are breathing. By virtue of that, you get to be here. And wouldn't it just be nicer if that was more fun and more spacious and comfortable? You can do that just because. And we no longer have to wait for the pain to get to be so great to where we get so pissed off at how the life is and how it's been and who I have let myself tolerate. We don't have to wait for that. We can start just getting the, oh, I don't like how I feel with this person. I'm going to bring this up in a conversation and see if that changes. Doesn't change? Okay, we part ways. I don't have to make them into a horrible person. I don't have to let this relationship go so far south. I also don't have to contort myself and do extra flips and learn 18 things that I never really was interested in order to make it work if they're not interested in making it work. But we have the communication skills to at least start opening the conversation to see instead of making any assumptions. So that we're not having all this collateral damage to clean up before we can move forward. And that when it comes to being alone, we understand that we just created space for someone else. We didn't just alienate everybody out of recklessness. But hey, if that happens, we know how to forgive ourselves too, okay? So it's all there. Potency is worth it. When you walk into a room, people's heads turn. When you speak, people listen. When your heart speaks, you listen. When your body is telling you, this lights me up, you say, yes, I'll take it. When your body says, I gotta get out of here, you say, excuse me, I need to get out of here. That's potency. That's you dominating your space, and instead of shrinking, you actually learn how to energetically expand your space. And you find that when you do this, people's conversations change, you are less annoyed and less irritated. So how about a life of ease just because you finally said, I get to be here. I don't have to hide in my office or my room or behind my computer or whatever. I get to be here. And when I'm here, I'm a gift to the world. So me actually just sharing my story, my experience, things that light me up. I love when people tell me about your version of JOYLYN Land, which would be your name, Land, or whatever. Maybe it has a slightly different name. These are the conversations that I like. This is what I'm inviting you to be clear and potent AF. How different could your holiday season be if you started now? So I want to talk to you. I want you to come to me, raise your hand, and say, can we talk about working one-on-one? And I will say, yes, we can. Let's set up a time. All right? It's that easy. There's no commitment right up front. But when you commit to you, oh my goodness, game on. Okay? So, hopefully, this has helped you understand what potency is and is not, what clarity is needed and how to get it, and how freaking amazing it feels to have it. And I want you to raise your hand and say, I'm having that. JOYLYN, let's talk. Okay? That is your assignment. I love you madly. Thank you so much for being here. And as usual, I'm already looking forward to next Wednesday because I love having these talks with you. If you've got any questions, let me know. Throw them in the group and I can create power hours around that. But talk to me. Let's get you clear and potent as fuck. Let's change your life. You don't have to wait till New Year's, okay? Today's good enough, all right? It's Wednesday, November 10th. Tomorrow is 11/11 portal. It's opening for you to step through and say yes to having more of you. So I can't wait to talk to you, and I will see you again next Wednesday. Love you. Mwah.